Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into something pretty significant, the Waqf Amendment Act, 2025.
Yeah, it's definitely got people talking. We'll try to unpack what Waqf actually is and why this new law matters so much.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Waqf. What does that term even mean?
Well, literally, it translates to things like detention or tying up, which kind of hints at permanence.
Permanence? Okay.
Legally speaking, it's when someone permanently dedicates a property
Hmm.
for a religious or charitable cause. Ownership sort of shifts notionally to God.
So the original owner gives it up.
Right. The key is the benefit from that property then goes to specific beneficiaries. It's not about the owner anymore.
And I gather there isn't just one single interpretation of how that ownership transfer works.
Exactly. You've got different schools of thought in Islamic law, like the Hanafi school says the owner's rights are completely gone, held under divine ownership. The Shafi'i view is similar. The main point is it permanently removed from the owner for charity. Just slight nuances, really.
Gotcha. So to make a Waqf valid, what needs to be in place? Are there specific requirements?
Yep. There are four essential pillars. You need the waqif, that's the person donating.
The endower.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Then the mawquf, which is the actual property being donated.
Okay.
Then the mawquf alayh, those are the beneficiaries, who gets the benefit. And finally, the Shia, the declaration, the formal statement making it a waqf.
Right. And this whole act establishing a Waqf, it's seen as a special kind of charity, isn't it?
Very much so. It's called sadaqah jariyah, continuous charity,
Yeah.
because the benefit keeps flowing long after the donation.
Are there historical roots for this?
Oh, absolutely. Goes right back to the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. There are famous examples, like Muharrik's orchards or Uthman ibn Affan dedicating the well of Ruma.
So it's deeply embedded in Islamic tradition.
Definitely. And historically, waqfs are, well, crucial. They funded mosques, schools, hospitals, libraries, even infrastructure. Hugely important in Islamic societies, including India under the Delhi Sultanate and later dynasties.
Which brings us to modern India. There are apparently a lot of Waqf properties.
Vast amounts. But administration has been challenging. Issues like encroachment, mismanagement. That's the backdrop for this 2025 Act.
To sort of modernize and fix those problems.
That's the stated aim, yes. Modernize administration, tackle the encroachments, the mismanagement.
And this act came about pretty quickly, it seems.
It did. The bill was introduced August 2024, passed both houses by early April 2025, got presidential assent, and was enforced by April 8, 2025. It also repealed an older law, the Mussalman Wakf Act from 1923.
So what exactly is the government trying to achieve with this, the objectives?
It's quite a list. Boosting transparency, accountability, protecting the properties better, using technology like a central digital portal.
Okay, tech upgrade.
More inclusivity, too, bringing non-Muslims and Muslim women onto boards, trying to cut down legal fights, deal with cases where non-Muslim property was wrongly declared waqf.
That sounds like a point of contention.
It is. Also, improving things for Muslim women socioeconomically and just creating one unified legal framework. They even renamed the old 1995 Act. It's now the UMED Act.
UMED means hope. Right. Let's get into some specifics. The definition of Waqf changed.
It did. Now, the donor needs to be a practicing Muslim for at least 5 years with clear ownership. And this idea of Waqf by user, where long use established it, that's gone for future cases.
But existing ones are okay.
Existing registered ones before 2025 are protected, unless there's a dispute or it's government land.
What about family Waqfs? Waqf.
The Act says they can't deny inheritance rights, including for women. And making a new Waqf now needs a formal, written deed, clear ownership, legal competence, basically more paperwork from the start.
And surveying these properties, who does that now?
It shifts from a survey commissioner to the district collector, using state revenue laws. Big move. And that digital portal you mentioned. Mandatory registration for all Waqfs, even old ones, within 6 months.
Seems like a big administrative push. What about recording ownership changes?
Standardized process now called mutation with public notice. Again, aiming for transparency. And the board compositions have changed significantly.
Right. The inclusion of non-Muslim members. Tell us about that.
State Waqf boards must now have 2 non-Muslim members, plus Shia, Sunni, backward-class Muslims, and 2 Muslim women reps.
And the Central Council.
Similar idea. Up to 4 non-Muslim members there out of 22 total. State governments also get power to nominate board members now.
What about disputes? The Waqf tribunals.
Changes there, too. The Muslim law expert is replaced by a state government official, joint secretary rank. And the tribunal head is a district judge serving or retired.
And appeals.
Big change. You can now appeal tribunal orders to the High Court within 90 days.
Are there other key legal shifts?
Yes. The Limitation Act of 1963 now applies. So there are time limits for legal action, which wasn't always the case before. Section 107 of the 95 Act is gone.
Okay.
Also, if the government identifies property as its own, it's not RAF. The district collector decides ownership disputes, and the central government gets broad powers to make rules.
Less money contribution, too.
Right. The mandatory annual contribution from WAC institutions is down from 7% to 5%. And crucially, Section 40 of the old Act, the board's power to declare any property WAF that's removed.
So lots of changes aimed at control and transparency, but clearly sparking debate.
Absolutely. You hear concerns about government overreach versus the need for reform. Parliament saw heated debates, government defending it for transparency, opposition calling it unconstitutional, discriminatory.
What are experts and stakeholders saying?
It's divided. Some legal experts see it as necessary modernization. Others worry about religious autonomy. Muslim organizations largely oppose it, citing religious freedom concerns. Some Hindu groups also have concerns about land issues.
So a real mix of reactions.
Definitely. This 2025 Act makes huge changes compared to what came before the definition. WAC by user, non-Muslim inclusion, the government's role. It's a fundamental shift, and, important to remember, it's already being challenged in the Supreme Court.
Well, this has certainly been a complex area to dive into. The WAC Amendment Act 2025, clearly a law with far-reaching effects.
It really highlights that tension, doesn't it, between managing these significant assets effectively, tackling problems, but also respecting religious freedom and community control.
It definitely leaves you thinking, how will this new framework change things on the ground? The relationship between the state, religious bodies, communities, and what are the long-term ripples going to be for that vast landscape tied to WAC properties? Food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.